price, again, is still set by the futures market. And you can see that dichotomy, that bifurcation today. I mean, you're hearing all these reports of shortages and dealers being out, and they're going to have to source that stuff from someplace. Normally, you would expect that futures price to go up, but instead, futures price is down $3 today.
Hey everyone, this is Elijah K. Johnson with the Miles Franklin Market Update. And with us today is Craig Hemke from the TF Metals Report. Craig, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Elijah, nice to see you. It's a crazy week we're having.
What's your take on what's going on right now?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. It's been very exciting. This movement towards silver kind of came out of last week with the short squeezes and some of the equities. And it started to pick up Thursday. And then on Friday, it started to kind of carry forward from just some of the shorted silver mining companies. And it dawned on me in an interview I was giving Friday afternoon. I thought, really, the only impact that we can really have long term is to acquire physical metal. It's only the physical metal that can force a deleveraging of this kind of fraudulent pricing scheme that we're trapped in. So it was fun Friday to kind of get involved rapidly with this idea of buying as much physical metal as you can from wherever you can get it. And I know Miles Franklin is one of my favorite companies, and I know you guys are cleaned out too. And so what's interesting now is that after building that momentum all through the weekend and having a really good day yesterday, all of a sudden, here we've given all that back and more today. And it's been an interesting education for a lot of new people. Hopefully they don't just get turned off and never look at it again. Hopefully it intrigues them and gets them to want to know, why is it that the price that they show on CNBC is, $27, but I can't buy an actual ounce for other than 37 or 40. The hell's going on there? And if you start down that road, you begin to realize, again, what a fraudulent pricing scheme it is. And hey, the more people we can get to figure that out, the better.
So I've got news at Miles Franklin. Essentially, demand is about the same that we saw last weekend. It's the most demand we've ever seen in our 30 years in business. And I mean, we still have some product. Retailers across the country are being wiped out clean of product. So do you think this silver squeeze is over, or is it still going on right now?
Well, that's what it's going to take, Elijah. It is going to take physical demand if we're ever going to see price find some type of physical level. Because right now, price, again, is still set by the futures market. And you can see that dichotomy, that bifurcation today. I mean, you're hearing all these reports of shortages and dealers being out, and they're going to have to source that stuff from someplace. Normally, you would expect that futures price to go up, but instead, futures price is down $3 today. So if we're going to have any impact, it's not going to be through the futures market or the ETFs. It's going to be in physical metal only. It's a hyper leveraged system that the banks use. And any physical ounces that you, me, all the customers at Miles Franklin can take delivery of removes those ounces from the control of the banks, limits their ability to continue to leverage and hypothecate the existing metal. So that's very good news that Miles Franklin, at least, is continuing to see the same level of demand they saw this weekend. Let's hope that's the case across the board at all the other major dealers.
Do you think it's, I guess, with respect to like the physical and paper market, do you think it's more of a production issue? I know, yeah, retailers around the country are wiped clean, and it's hard to source product and all of that stuff. But with respect to the higher premiums and stuff like that, and people not being able to purchase the physical metal, I've heard it's kind of a production issue, is they just can't create the coins and the bars fast enough.
Well, sure. We're sure. What at the end of the day, what's the price? Is it the price that they feed you on Bloomberg, and that the London Bullion Market Association that sets the wholesale price once a day? Is it that price that's determined through unallocated, leveraged contracts? Or is it the trading of physical metal where I've got to fork over $40 to get an ounce of silver? What's the actual price for silver in that regard? Yeah, you might come up with some more. I know the mint can only make so many rounds, and suppliers can make only so many rounds in a month. You can get cleaned out. And that can be replenished, obviously. But right now, at this instant, you've got a bifurcated market. And people should stop to ask themselves why. Because again, the price is determined through the trading of derivative contracts that are not linked to physical metal at all. And that's what people are getting a lesson in today. And then the system defends itself, Elijah. I mean, we could have each of the last 4 months, we've had a $2.50 at least down day in silver price. Big red candle on the chart. Nobody cared. There, we didn't get anything from the CFTC. There was, it was, hey, it's just the way it is. Yesterday, we get a $2.50 up day green candle, and call in the National Guard. The CFTC has to put out a notice that they're closely surveilling the futures market for fraud and manipulation, and then they raise margins. So $2.50 to the downside, no problem. $2.50 to the upside, we got to have a margin hike. And then, it's the same result that it always is. You get people that have bought futures contracts, not that there's that many of them, but any entity that has bought a futures contract since Friday is now immediately underwater because the selling takes over, price falls. Now it falls below where you bought it. Now you get a call from your margin clerk saying you've either got to come up with some more cash or you just need to sell out. And, well, the price is falling. I think I'll just sell. And so now you got more selling, which pushes the price down even farther. I mean, we've seen it a million times. And it's all part of how the system is set up against the little guy. And that's why if we're ever going to affect change, and I've been saying this since Saturday, well, actually, all the way back to Friday when I first started telling people you got to buy metal, physical metal, if you're going to affect change, because that's the only way it'll work. You've got to deleverage this system that the banks use against you to determine the price.
And getting back to what we kind of saw leading into last week and the open on Sunday and everything, what was your initial reaction? Like, what was your perspective that the price could move that much? Was it just pretty much because of this Reddit frenzy? I mean, what do you think actually caused that move?
Well, I think the retail buying. Now, whether that was a Reddit thing, whether it was a Twitter thing, people wanting to front run what they thought they saw happening, that sort of thing. But it was clearly driven through the internet. Again, I'm not on Reddit, so I'm not sure how active it was there, but I'm pretty visible on Twitter. And by Saturday morning, the hashtag Silver Squeeze was trending, as one of the most popular hashtags in the whole world. So there was something happening there. And again, Elijah, Miles Franklin, and the reports from all of the other major bullion dealers, that they were quickly overwhelmed. And so there's a reaction in the futures market that comes from that, a scramble to either hedge or try to acquire physical metal that then gets reflected in the futures market in price. All of that buying, either physical buying over the weekend or the SLV buying on Friday, and then, in anticipation of more of that coming in Monday, caused buying of futures contracts. Immediately at the Globex reopened Sunday night at 6, and that carried all the way through until we were up over $30 yesterday morning.
And what is your perspective on how this possibly changes market dynamics in the future? If we look at what happened with GameStop, other stocks, and now silver, just the fact that a post on a Reddit website, something like that can just cause a stock to go tenfold, silver to just jump. What is your perspective on how this impacts market dynamics going forward? I mean, are markets broken, or how is this going to impact things going forward?
It's the power of the internet, right? As this global organizing tool. You see it through politics. You see it in, this what they call the social justice kind of stuff, right? That organizing tool that is the internet has put more people in touch, intertwined more people than we've ever seen in human history. It's all part of why this whole fourth turning idea, if you've studied that from Strauss and Howe, is suddenly valid again, because without communication, interperson, linking groups together, governments can control everybody. That's why, communist governments, are famous for that, whether it's the Soviet Union or the People's Republic of China. They don't allow free speech, and they don't allow freedom of association, all that kind of stuff, because if they can keep people apart, you might see something and not agree with it. But if you think you're by yourself and all alone, you're not really too able or willing to act upon that or try to affect change. But if you can band up with 1 million people or 10 million people through the internet, well, then stuff can happen. And that's what this is a symptom of. Specific back to gold and silver, I don't know if, this was a pretty cool deal. Maybe something like this can be done again. But I'm sticking with what I've always thought in 10 years of running TF Metals Report, and what I was adamant about all through this thing over the last 4 or 5 days. And that is, physical metal is the only thing, personal acquisition, you, me, everybody listening, taking metal out of the bank's hands and forcing them to not only stop increasing the leverage of whatever it is, 100 beneficial owners for each ounce, but actually force them to unwind. And Elijah, I'll just add one thing. There have been a lot, as I've been doing this for all these years, it always comes up about, the COMEX is going to default. And it's like, I kind of fell for that too 10 years ago. I thought, oh yeah, maybe. No, that's not how the end is going to happen. And I really doubt it's ever going to be a default in London either. Where this will probably manifest itself first is on all these unallocated accounts that are maintained by banks and mints, from Perth to Montreal to Geneva. And someone one day, I understand why people hold unallocated accounts, right? Gold has a negative carry if you got to pay, insurance and storage costs and all that kind of stuff. And so people cut that carrying cost by having it unallocated. Right. So you're just sharing that with everybody else. But everybody else, there might be 10, 50, 100 different people that think they own the same 10-ounce bar, in one of these unallocated account locations. And that's all well and good, as long as nobody shows up and demands the 10-ounce bar. Well, if one person shows up, then, okay, they can probably cough it up, just like if one person shows up at the bank and needs $10,000 in cash. But if 100 people show up at the same time demanding that same bar, if 100 people show up wanting $10,000 in cash, the bank doesn't have that in the vault. So they'll tell you to wait. And if 100 people show up wanting the same bar, that's going to be the same thing. Well, sign here and we'll get you some gold in 90 days. Well, whoa, wait a second. Hold on. It says here I own 100 ounces of gold. I want it now. And then you have a bank run, just like in It's a Wonderful Life. Only it'll be a gold bank run. Only the acquisition of physical metal can force that level of deleveraging. And so, as I stated all through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yesterday, and today, whether this silver squeeze thing amounts to anything, it probably won't. People get patient, and you've seen what happened today. But if we can get people to continually buy physical metal, understanding, how this system works, we'll get there eventually.
Well, Craig Hemke, thank you so much for your time today. Before we let you go, where can people find you online, and any last thoughts you'd like to add?
Right there. TF Metals Report. I mentioned I've been doing this now for over 10 years. And the site itself is just, it's just fantastic. It's just a great community. We had one guy leave. I did just share the personal story. A guy that's a longtime member canceled his subscription because he was caring for his father. Who is in old age. And he came back, and it was really touching because he came back because he missed the community so much, and the people, that care for each other and the support we all give each other. What? Because we're all in the same boat, man. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever. We're all in the same boat economically, right? And so I couldn't be more proud of the community there. And I obviously do analysis every day, so you get a little something for your subscription cost, but the site itself is what it's all about. And again, it's just tfmetalsreport.com.
All right. Once again, Craig, thank you so much for your time today, and God bless.
You too, Elijah. It's always good to see you.